Today might be the best day of the World Cup so far. We've got Norway and Brazil facing off. Haaland against Gabriel. There is some very interesting data behind that game and some very fascinating and potentially unbelievable historic trends too. We've also got England in Mexico playing at altitude. In this video, we're going to see exactly how high it is that they will be playing. It will surprise you when I start to make comparisons with other objects and mountains and stuff. We hit this on the previous episode yesterday, 4.2. Great odds, great number, 420. Morocco got the job done. Canada are going home. Pretty comfortable for Morocco, if we're being honest. So Brazil against Norway and then Mexico against England. We are going to cover both of these games in great detail. But first we start with Brazil against Norway. Now the winner of Brazil or Norway will play the winner of Mexico or England. So it's going to be a tasty fixture regardless. And an interesting stat for this game is that Brazil have never beaten Norway. They played 4 times. 2 draws, 2 wins, including a famous 2-1 victory for Norway in France, 1998. And the man that was in that squad, Ståle Solbakken, he is now the gaffer for Norway. What a journey he has been on, looking to punish Brazil once more, 28 years later. And another statistic that Brazilian fans will not like to hear is that they have been knocked out at the first opportunity when facing a European team in the World Cup. Every time they've faced a European team, they've gone out since 2002. We won't talk about who they beat in 2002 on their way to lifting the trophy, of course, with that beautiful team of Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Cafu, Ronaldinho. Even Kaká was in that squad, actually. Kleberson, let's not forget about him. Will this trend continue, or will Brazil get through with the help of their European manager, Carlo Ancelotti? No doubt who the danger man is for Norway. He has scored 50% of Norway's goals in the tournament. Erling Haaland, of course, is the player that I'm talking about, including an 86-minute winner against the Ivory Coast. He was the top scorer in qualifying with 16 goals. Now we can see the market here is favouring Brazil, but they do have a few players missing. First, Rafinha is likely to be out once more. He is back in training, but unlikely to be risked. But another player that's out who has actually been very, very good. He's a bit of a surprise inclusion for me in the team, but of course he's now playing in Brazil. It is, of course, Lucas Paqueta. He was subbed off against Japan at half-time with a hamstring strain. Casemiro also carrying a knock, but expected to play through it. They do have Fabinho in the team. It's a very interesting Brazilian squad. They've got a lot of experience in there. Fabinho, of course, nowhere near the player he was. Casemiro playing with a knock against a team like Norway, it could be pivotal. And the players on fire for Brazil, we have this man, Vinicius, 4 goals and 1 assist, of course, and Bruno Guimaraes has 4 assists as well. He is one of my favourite players in this Brazilian team. He gives everything. I can't wait to see these two going at it. I mentioned it briefly a moment ago, but Gabriel against Haaland, they really do, I think, hate each other. So what a game it should be. And now let's take a look at the form guide for both of these teams before putting together our own predictions. And just on predictions, well done to this user. You have won a month of Odd Alerts Pro for this comment on yesterday's video. Fantastic stuff. Don't forget to add your comments and predictions on this video for your chance to win Odd Alerts Pro as well. All you've got to do is add a prediction. So we will start with Norway, taking a look at their form guide. Link in the description. This is looking across the last 10 games. 3 or more goals in 9 of their last 10 games. They rank first for this statistic. They've scored 3 or more goals in 7 of their last 10 games. They also rank first for this. They've seen 4 or more goals total in 7 out of 10. They've scored in every single game, as you might expect. They've won 9 of the 10. They lost to France after rotating 10 of their 11 starting players. No team has scored more goals than them across the last 10. That alone should scare Brazil. And this is an interesting statistic that we mentioned in the previous game, of course. No team has seen more first half goals or second half goals, so there is a great spread in when these goals are coming for Norway. And what makes this a potentially fun game for us making predictions is that BTTS has also landed in 7 out of 10. They've scored 22 goals in the second half of games. They rank second for that. And now when we check out Brazil, we see some different statistics, shall we say, at the top of the charts. Fouls committed. They are second in the charts with 14.6 per game on average. As I mention every time we talk about Brazil, they do have an aggressive midfield. Casemiro not being fully fit, is he going to pick up a card in this game? They also have an aggressive press from the front. Paqueta being out is a big miss for them as well. I've been very impressed with him. Brazil have received a card in 9 of their last 10 games. They've received 10 first half cards in their last 10 games. That ranks them third for that statistic. And they're third for yellow cards received, 20 in the last 10 games, 2 per game. How many will they get in this one? So for this game, I do have a couple of selections. My first is here, and it does follow the data. I saw the price for this. Norway to score in the second half is evens. I think, given the data, given how they may have to just calm things down in this game first. You don't want to lose this game to Brazil in the first 45 minutes. There's no doubt about that. So for Norway to get a goal in the second half, as they have in more games and more total goals than any other team at the World Cup across the last 10 fixtures. They are a fantastic goal-scoring team that can get a goal in any minute of the game, and both teams to receive a card. Brazil, I have no doubt, will continue to pick up cards in this game, and Norway, given the state of the game, if this is a closer game than the bookies think it will be, then I think Norway will pick up a card, no doubt about that. And that is at 3s as well. I backed Brazil to go through when I did my round of 16 predictions in the previous video. I think Brazil will continue to improve, but Norway will give this as good as they've got, and they are a superb goal-scoring team. Which leads me to my next selection. So we're just going to look at corners before we put together our second prediction. We can see 6 corners in 3 of their 4 games, 4 against Haiti. And for Norway, when we look at corners conceded, they are one of the worst teams. They rank 6 for corners conceded. And of course, that is lifted up by Ivory Coast having 14 corners against them in that round of 32 game. France had 5, Senegal had 4, and Iraq, who they battered, of course, only had 2. So the second prediction, of course, leans on the corner data that we saw. We're also going to have Haaland to commit a foul. He is on 4 for the competition so far, and BTTS, which is a very common prediction for this game, of course, given the amount of goals that both of these teams can score. Brazil not conceding many goals at this competition, but it's not every day that they face Erling Haaland. Something you can add to this if you're feeling comfortable and confident about it is Norway to get an offside. It is at 1.5, which I thought was a decent price, but the data suggests otherwise. They've only been caught offside 3 times in the competition. Brazil have been caught offside many more times. I think Brazil are on 10 offsides. But given that they rotated so heavily against France, I think they would have probably had a couple of offsides in that game, given that France are a team that are going to push up against you. Similar to Brazil, they will leave spaces. They have to at times, and with Nusa, Sorloth, Haaland, all pretty pacey players that like to attack that space, I think there is potential for at least 1 offside for Haaland and co in this game. And my score prediction for this one, it's a very tricky game to call. I did back Brazil to go through ultimately, but I could see this one being a score draw after full time. I'm torn between 2-2 and 2-1. I'm going to go with a 3-2 victory. And I don't know if that's after full time or extra time, but a 3-2 victory, classic World Cup fixture here. So Brazil 3-2, let me know what you think about that one in the comments. It's incredibly difficult to call this game. It really is, because both teams have players that can do something like that. And I think Brazil probably just have 1 or 2 more players that can do something like that. Now on to Mexico against England. So Mexico against England, a lot has been made of the stadium and the altitude, and some people say, oh, you'll get used to it, how hard can it be, how high can it really be? Well, this here is Ben Nevis. Ben Nevis is the highest mountain in Britain. Where they're going to play Mexico at the Azteca, it is at an altitude that is 1.5 times the height of Ben Nevis. So imagine playing a football game on top of a mountain that is 1.5 times the height of the highest mountain you can find and climb in Britain. And they've got a pretty good record at this stadium as well. As you would expect, they've lost 2 of their 89 competitive games. They are unbeaten in just 13 years, and they've never lost a World Cup game in 10 attempts. England have played there. 40 years ago was the last time they played there, and it was the Hand of God game. What controversy will we see tonight? And there is some very interesting data here which you may think favours Mexico, but I've got an idea on this game that it could actually favour England. Opta's tracking data here. Azteca group games have had the lowest distance covered, fewest high-speed runs, and fewest sprints of any venue. The altitude is measurably slowing everybody down. Okay, we've got Harry Kane, he doesn't need to run that much. We've got players in the middle of the park that can keep the ball. Why don't we just try and keep the ball and play a really, really slow and boring game, make healthy, good substitutions, potentially try and get an early goal, focus on set pieces? I think we can do this. And Mexico come into this as only the second team ever to keep 4 clean sheets in a row in their opening World Cup games. Incidentally, Switzerland also did it in 2006. And that win against Ecuador, you saw the parties in the streets for Mexico because it was huge. It was their first knockout win since 1986. There is a frenzy going on right now in Mexico. There are fireworks going off outside England's hotel, and looking at the danger men in both squads, Quinones there, we can see what a player he looks like. He has scored 62 goals in 68 for his club. He's got 3 in the competition. He got a goal and an assist in the previous round against Ecuador. Raul Jimenez on 2, always reliable, but he does tire in these games. Harry Kane is on 5, of course, after his heroic double in the previous game. And you may have missed it, but 17-year-old Gilberto Mora became the second youngest player ever to start a World Cup knockout game, just 20 days older than Pelé in 1958. Reece James is still out injured. Quansah got a knock, expected to be back, but will he start? Declan Rice finished the game at right back, and there are people calling for him to start there again, and potentially we see Henderson or Kobbie Mainoo in the middle. I would put a right back at right back just so we can have Declan Rice in the middle where he is going to be much needed in this game. But Declan Rice was unable to run really towards the end of that game. He was so tired after a very long season. It's going to be a lot worse for him in this game. And something that I think is a little bit worrying for England, every game so far for England has seen a different back four. The best teams, the champions of previous tournaments, be it World Cup or Champions League, Premier Leagues, they don't rotate the back four that much if they can help it. And just looking quickly at the form guide for England and Mexico, we're going to start with England because I do think there are a couple of interesting statistics here. First, 8 or more corners in each of the last 10 games that England have played. They've not conceded after 70 minutes in any of those games. They have not lost any of those games, and they are ranking top for possession, which I think is going to be vital in this fixture. 70% possession on average across the last 10. They've had more shots on target than their opponents, more XG. There has been 2 or more goals in 8 of their 10 games, and 75 corners in the last 10 games puts them second, 7.5 per game. How many will they get in this one? You've got to remember, they may play a slightly different way given the conditions in Mexico. Now, for Mexico's last 10, they have also not conceded after 70 minutes. They are also unbeaten. They've won 9. They've not been losing at halftime in any of those games. They've also had more shots on target than their opponents. They are joint first with England in that regard on 10. 8 clean sheets in their last 10 games, just 3 goals conceded. How many goals will we see in this one? Because to me, it seems like not many. The opponents of Mexico being booked 22 times in the last 10, that puts them third for that statistic. They have scored first in 8. England conceded first the other night, didn't they? Will that happen again? So my first selection is quite a simple one. I'm going to put together a couple for this game as well. We can see here England to win. I think if England approach this game right, they can suck the life out of it. I think that's what they've got to do. I'm not expecting them, and I don't think many England fans will want them to go for this. You need to be careful and sensible about this because obviously there are real conditions working against you in this game. You've got to get your substitutions right. Tuchel's got to get the starting lineup right. I'd be happy for us to get a goal in the first half here and win this game 1-0, see out the game, play the most boring football you can. I hope that they have just worked on possession in training since they got there and before that, because if Mexico don't have the ball, they cannot hurt you. Now, my second selection is here at 4s. Let me explain it to you. Of course, we saw the data with England and the corners in their games, not just for England, by the way. They had a few, did DR Congo, and if we play anywhere near as bad as we did against DR Congo, especially in the first half, then I think Mexico will go through in this game. So this selection is more leaning towards that lack of improvement. Mexico will target the wings in this game. DR Congo, no disrespect to their wingers, but they looked like prime Champions League wingers in that game, and we made them look like that. I think they also, there's a part of it where they elevate to the occasion, and they were fantastic, no doubt about that, but we can't be making the same mistakes against Mexico. And for England, they've had 20 offsides in the last 10 games. I think they'll get one in this game, and both teams to score again. If we play anywhere near as bad as we did against DR Congo, Mexico will score against us. Congo should have scored twice in that game. And my score prediction for this one, I guess you have to kind of think what type of game you're going to see. And I am hoping, I know that we might not see this type of game, but I'm hoping we will, that England just keep the ball all game and we can nick a goal somehow. Set piece, little through ball, moment of magic from one of our players that's not in the squad. Maybe Foden, Palmer, Trent can pick a ball out for Harry Kane. Anyway, I think we can win this game 1-0. And then potentially maybe as Mexico push on in the second half, we go and get another, and I'm going to say 1-0 though, that we don't get the other. 1-0 to England is my prediction for this game. A tight, narrow, nervy game played in terrible conditions, but a victory in this game will bring everybody together in the squad and really, really make them believe that they can go on. If they can get through this, they can get through the majority of the games that are to come. So that was today, and tomorrow is just as good. Portugal against Spain. Spain are evens to win after 90 minutes. Portugal need to improve, I think, on that performance against Croatia, and then the United States against Belgium. By the time the USA play, they could be the only home nation left in the competition. Don't forget to add your predictions for your chance to win. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, click like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.